Hey, we get to talk about the life of Jesus and how it matters and getting the things right in our lives and doing things the right way. This has been a game changer for me in my life to follow not only just the teachings of Jesus, but the way in which Jesus lived out those teachings on a day-to-day basis. It matters. In the gospel passage we're going to talk about right now in Mark's gospel, Jesus is speaking to the disciples, and the disciples are always thinking it's about somebody else. I don't know if you relate to this at all, but sometimes I always think the problem lies in the other person. When there's a brokenness in relationship, I always think if only that person could get it together. If there's a way of misunderstanding someone, I always think if only those people were different, if only that circumstance would change. But Jesus is speaking to the disciples over and over again, and he's basically saying, it's you that needs to change. It's you that needs to bring the change. It's you that needs to posture yourself differently, a posture of service, a posture of love, a posture of opportunity with people around you. I mean, take a look at this verse that Jesus uses with his disciples in Mark chapter 9. He puts it this way: salt is good for seasoning, but if it loses its flavor, how do you make it salty again? You must have the qualities of salt among yourselves and live in peace with each other. So we're just interrupting a conversation that the disciples have been having with Jesus about who the greatest is and why they should be mad at these people and why these people shouldn't belong and who's qualified and who's not qualified. And instead of talking about other people, Jesus brings the conversation back to the disciples. What about you? What can you do? And what he tells the disciples is that they should have the quality of salt. Now, I don't know about you, I've got some salt issues. I like too much of it. I put too much of it on my food because actually a chef told me that you add salt to the food to actually bring out its natural flavor. You don't want to actually be able to taste the salt. If you taste the salt, it's too much salt. Salt is there to not only preserve the meat in that culture, but also to bring out the seasoning that already exists in the beautiful food that you're about to consume. I mean, think about your life like that. What if your life existed to bring out the beautiful qualities in other people that already exist? What if your life, like salt, is meant to bring out the beauty and the goodness in your community around you and in the school and the people that you are connected with? What if your posture was to bring out the peace and the goodness and the beauty in the world? That's what it means to not only get something right, but to do it in the right way. The way of Jesus is to season this world with flavoring, with color, but to bring out what already exists of the sacredness and the beauty and the goodness of the world that already exists. I don't know how this looks in your community, but I'm pretty sure there's some neighbors who could use some seasoning. In your community, at your school, in your neighborhood, with your friends, you could be salt, you could be peace, you could be goodness, but you could be a seasoning that brings out the goodness that already exists in the world. This would be how you get things right and do them in the right way.